Crypto Global News, I'm Edward. Today we bring you a very special interview with two of the folks from Gath3r. Now, Gath3r seeks to solve a number of issues in the crypto marketplace, including lost revenue in the space of online advertising and also mining for all people generally. We cover that and a whole bunch more in today's interview. Hope you enjoy the show. Great, so we're here for the interview today with two of the founders of Gath3r. We're going to cover obviously a bunch about Gath3r and a whole bunch more in the space of crypto. So gentlemen, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Edward.
It's my pleasure. I've really been looking forward to speaking to both of you. So, Reggie, we'll start with you because you're the CEO. Can we talk a bit about sort of how you got into this space, how you got into crypto generally, and how you find your way into this project with Gath3r?
Sure. So I guess I'll start with who I am. My name is actually Raghav, but a lot of people can't really say that. So when I was in high school, people came up with Reggie, so it stuck since then. So mainly people call me Reggie. So how did I get into Gath3r and what I've been up to? This is my second startup. My first startup was based on e-commerce, logistics, point-to-point, similar to Deliveroo. After that, what I moved into advertising. I mean, I was with advertising as an industry for a while, working with Publicis Group based in India for about 2.5 years. And so I was very aware of the industry and what's going on. And I found out about this new concept known as crypto mining and, as an alternative form of revenue for websites. Made it very interesting. I did a lot of research back of last year in November. And while I kept doing that, I thought, this could be a viable business. Something could come out of it. So I kept researching for a couple of months. And then once I had a very solid idea of how to proceed and, who I needed to bring on board, the first person I reached out to was Farouk to join on board. And we kind of just took it step by step from there. And we are and reached to where we are now. A bit about myself. I'm a Canadian national living in Dubai, UK, and a bunch of other places. I used to live working in oil and gas for a while as well in North Iraq. And now I'm in Dubai working with blockchain.
So how did you make the jump from those previous things you were working on into blockchain generally? I mean, what sparked that interest? Or did you just see like an opportunity with the business you were looking at, or what led you to that place?
So initially when we first, when I first talked to Farouk about this, right, it became very apparent that, we were going after some very big players specifically. Mm-hmm. So blockchain became kind of as a strategy to kind of limit risk to move to our own blockchain. And I mean, in terms of crypto generally, I was first exposed to it back in university, mm-hmm. Where I met our co-founder and CMO with Litecoin specifically. And even last year when Litecoin was picking up, thinking of getting into Litecoin mining. So I was aware of it, dabbled into it a little bit. But it specifically with Gath3r and going into blockchain, it's a function of risk and lowering risk specifically.
So, Farouk, if we just flip over to you, sort of the same, man. So I'd love to hear about how you got into this project and specifically how you got into crypto, because this industry is such a hodgepodge of interesting folk. So if you could kick us off with that.
I got into crypto specifically first half of last year in 2017. Before that, I was in accounting. I used to work at KPMG, so I used to work in the audit and advisory section. Mm-hmm. So it's not really exactly investments, but still coming from the finance background a little bit. So first half of last year, I started looking more into crypto. I was aware of Bitcoin for a few years, but I never really looked into it. I thought it was just what most people think who aren't in it. Just one of those things that's gonna be a fad. Last year, I started looking into a lot more while I was still working. I was extremely impressed with the potential of this space. So I started trading at first in the first half. My first ever buy in crypto after Bitcoin obviously was Anshares, which is Neo now. So I started first half of last year. I quit my job probably a month after my first trade, because the more I looked into this space, the more I was impressed with the potential in general, in all aspects, not just one or two projects, but I think there's room. I thought there was like a lot of room for growth in this whole sector. I thought I could imagine this as a whole new industry building right in front of us. So I quit. I became a full-time trader and investor for the remainder of 2017. Around the end of last year, Reggie started also looking into this. He brought up this project. I like the project because I thought it made a lot of sense. It's as you said, this industry is one of the largest industries in the world, and more importantly, the margins in this industry are very good. Like, it's not one of those cutthroat industries where everyone's making a few percent here and there. The space is very large, and I think there's a lot of room for it's not that Google will try and kill off everyone that they see. It's a very large industry, and the room for growth is very interesting at this point. It's still in the early phases as a whole.
So one thing we didn't actually touch on 100% is, can you each tell us just quickly, like, what you actually do with Gath3r, specifically with the project?
So I'm the founder and CEO. My role is related to a lot of different, you have all the other departments in terms of marketing, operations, finance, legal, XYZ. So I kind of, let's say, project manage everything, make sure everything's done on time. We're setting new tasks, deadline, and, setting the goals, strategic and short term, making sure those are achieved. So anything in terms of vision, and then long-term goals, and a little bit of dabbling into short-term stuff as well. But a lot of my time is focused currently into marketing and technology specifically.
I was the one who wanted to, basically advise on the crypto marketing, because that can be slightly different to traditional marketing, which is something that who is new to this industry would not be aware of. And I've seen a lot of other projects make this mistake, try to tackle it like completely as a traditional raise, which is normally is not the case. So yeah, so that's been my major, like the funding, the crypto side marketing, and obviously in the future general finance and whatever the business would need on that end.
That's all fantastic. So with that, because we've sort of been talking about you guys and that, I really want to jump into how this works, because I really believe that your project is something that anyone who has an internet connection can make use of, which is like, that's not blowing smoke up your rear end. That's really true. So Reggie, if you want to run us through just a broad overview for the layman out there of what Gath3r is and how it works on a day-to-day basis, that would be fantastic.
Definitely. So I think the easiest way to explain what we do to someone who's non-crypto, layman completely, is that Gath3r allows websites and applications an alternative or additional form of making money, monetization, using the blockchain. Very simply put. Now, if we go a little more deeper into that, how does it actually work? It's that we have a script which is installed onto a webmasters or applications platform. Whenever a user visits that application or website, they must opt in. Once they opt in, they are then mining cryptocurrencies. Whatever the proceeds of such mining, they are then paid out to website owners and application owners in either Gath3r tokens, Bitcoin, or in fiat currencies where available via bank transfer. For end users, we have a bunch of the main thing we have for end users is the loyalty program currently. The loyalty program is an optional program where webmasters and application owners can enable their end users to share in revenue and profits. Now, the amount is up to them, but it's paid out in Gath3r tokens.
Excellent, excellent. So let's just run with that last bit, because as soon as I read the white paper, I went a bit like, oh my God, this is phenomenal, because even like I could explain this to my mom and she could make use of it, and she's not a supremely technical person. But one thing that I wouldn't say I worried, but I did think about was like the normal person who looks at this will assume, cool, I sign up, I go on this website, I start making essentially an income. That's for long and the short of it, whether it's in fiat or your token or BTC, whatever. But how will they know, because I'm assuming each web platform is going to be a bit different, how much they're going to get paid and all those ins and outs? I think there was even one example in the white paper that said that perhaps some websites will have a section, which is a premium section, where if you're on there you might get paid, another part of the site which might be free to the public. So how is that going to work from site to site?
So this is in terms of the loyalty program, right? Mm-hmm. So in terms of the loyalty program, how it's going to work is that we have no control in how much the share is going to be. right? This is we can't impose that. Okay, you need to share, let's say 20% with your users. We can't do that. So I'm not, in my estimation, I don't think more than 10% will ever be shared. Because websites are greedy, they want to make money at the end of the day, and it's going to be really simple. It's just going to be a little section, where you can log in and just redeem your tokens, where you enter a wallet address. It's on our platform. It's nothing complicated per se. But again, so it could be on one website. Let's say website A, you go on, they're only sharing 6%, right. And let's say you go to website B, they're sharing 12%.
Okay. Yeah. No, that all makes sense. It's just, I think that the thing is that people will go to like website A and B, and they'll think of Gath3r as an entity and not necessarily website A and B, if that makes sense. Like, that was my only thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's one of those things also that it needs a lot of websites to adopt it, because then people can pick and choose where they spend their dollars, and then you'll have the improved traffic on those websites, and then I think that's where the firestorm will come in for your platform.
Definitely, I would have to agree. This is definitely a game of scale. Once we hit that, let's say that snowball moment per se, that's when it would really be adoption would increase, exponentially, specifically, because on a website point of view, okay, you're adding additional revenue, or you're replacing revenue from ads specifically. Increasing user experience, and then you have the added benefits, loyalty program, and everything else that does come with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I just want to point out is that I think the loyalty program adds a very interesting facet to this, in the sense that, for example, that you could have two very similar competing, let's say, blogs. They talk about the same things, whatnot, and they could think that, oh, we could have a slight advantage if we offer more incentive to our users as a reward. So this could be something to play with on their end as well. There's so many websites that offer almost identical content. So if they're looking for some kind of edge over their competitors, this could even be one of those things.
Just sticking with one thing, because I have seen for a number of platforms, they'll say we accept our token, and then it'll be Bitcoin, sometimes Ethereum, and then selected fiat. So specifically with fiat, because a lot of people, especially if they're new into crypto, are going to say, how do I get paid in my currency? So what currencies will be available from the outset? And then if in the next 18 to 24 months you're looking at others, what are those going to be?
Right. So for fiat, it's going to be a rolling process. It's not like we can tell you right now that these currencies will be offered. It's more in the sense that we have to consider where a lot of our customers are based in. So, for example, if we notice that 30% of our customers are from this country, we will prioritize getting a partnership with a fiat exchange in that area to ensure that the majority of our customers have that option. If not, if they're in a country where we're just building and we don't have a lot of customers there yet, then we might not have the option for fiat at that point. But we will make it very easy for them to transfer their Bitcoin into fiat if they are that if they're that inexperienced or worried about handling crypto. Sure. So it's going to be a rolling process, and it's going to we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes before we can give you the exact answer right now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, you might have 400,000 people sign up in the first year in Britain, and then it doesn't make sense to then say, oh, well, what about the Hong Kong dollar? Like, yeah, if you're not getting any traction there, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. To add on to that, just to make clear, we're not custody services at all. So it definitely it's completely on partnerships with fiat exchanges. Again, as Farooq said, in the specific jurisdictions, we don't have right for custody jurisdictions or money services business license, which we are not. Yep. And for countries where unfortunately they may not be fiat payouts. Yes, we'll make it really, really easy that you can exchange your Bitcoin for your local currency using a third-party platform integration.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when you look at a lot of ICOs in the marketplace now, they're getting so specialized. They're kind of sort of like niche products. So a number of ICOs I've looked at, they really service, let's say like 500,000 people, but it's a finite number globally. It's not going to be sort of for everyone in the marketplace. Whereas this one, the one you guys have with Gath3r, it really is something that, if you're online with your cell phone or your desktop, this is something you can make use of, probably on a daily basis. So my next sort of question is, well, how do we bring in, or how do you guys bring in the people into the marketplace, into the crypto market to use Gath3r who are not in crypto at the moment? How do you bring them in and get them to use this platform? And also, how do you sort of get them to wrap their heads around the multiple different currencies on the platform? Because you can use your token, you can use fiat depending on what jurisdiction and what fiat they're using, and there's other cryptocurrencies they can use. So how do you get their minds around all of that?
So there's two parts of this I'd like to mention. Is that one on the adoption front and how we need to bring in this non-crypto community to use the platform, and the other part is I want to take a use case example that we've seen. Our platform is live. We're getting customers on board and everything, and it's being used. So the first one is that we have a strategy in terms of marketing. In this current space, in terms of competitors, there's just not talking about Google or really big competitors, indirect competitors. Direct competitors is like people like CoinHive, like JSC Coin, and each has their own pros and cons, but none of them can be, referred to as a thought leader, an authority, or be extremely relevant in the space. We are planning and trying to position ourselves in the long term as a thought leader. So people come to Gath3r to know, okay, these are the people that are an authority, they are relevant. So whatever information, news, or content they push out, it is reliable. No one is in that current position right now. It's open, it's up for grabs. So we're trying to position ourselves in this. By doing that, what's going to end up happening is that people outside crypto, in the publishing space specifically, will start taking notice. Anyone in any authority in any space always gets a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs, right? To the other part in the use case, what we've been seeing is that in a lot of Spanish countries, a lot of South American, countries, we're seeing a lot of adoption. Now, why? Maybe because in Venezuela, we're seeing a lot of devaluation, etc. going on. But what I find is really interesting is that there are these bloggers, right? They're talking about freedom of movement, freedom of rights, political activism. And they're using our platform because they need to make money, and their content can be censored, is being censored, etc. So we are seeing a huge use case on this part. And then obviously we have NGOs and other stuff, but that was really interesting to see that we are enabling people who are talking about freedom of rights, freedom of speech, to voice, to raise their voice, basically, the community. And we're extremely proud to see that in such an early phase.
My big question then is how are you going to beat out or sidestep the competition? Because we're talking about a market with billions and billions of dollars so far as advertisers go. And, essentially you're going to be replacing at least a lot of them. How does that look, so far as that roadmap specifically moving forward? Sure.
So I'm going to talk about this in, let's say, a timeline perspective, is that in the initial, let's say, next year and a half, what it's going to be is that, okay, people are adopting us, are using us in terms of big publishers, big websites, news websites, right, to add to their revenue, right? Post this, what we're going to see happening is that people are just going to start getting rid of ads. Ads are not becoming less intrusive. It's going the other way. It's becoming even worse and worse. I mean, if you want to go on Facebook right now and you start viewing some videos, right, I'm guaranteeing you 1 out of 2 videos has a video, an ad, which is a real annoyance, honestly speaking, to many users. So it's going to happen after this, 1.5 year period where we're going to see the ads being cut out completely and just Gath3r as a web miner being the sole source of monetization. But that would be as a long term. Now, how we want to compete with them is that I would not want to say competition initially. I would say collaborate. We are approaching these publishing houses, right? Such as, let's say, Times Group, for example, right? And they just want to, all they care about is, okay, can we increase our revenue with the solution? That's all they care about, which is, that's the foot in the door, specifically speaking. From there, it's about then getting ads out of the way. Once that revenue is let's say 2x of what we can provide for ads. Now, in terms of the larger threat from, let's say, Google, Baidu, etc., or Amazon, or whoever it may be, It is about just lowering the risk of our how exposed we are to these platforms. That is why we need to be on a blockchain, because it's not if they come and shut us down, it's going to be when, right? Let's say we're like a year down the line and we're doing some serious traffic. We're on a lot of major websites. They are more incentivized to shut us down early, right? Google's already trying.
Yeah.
So it's basically just dodging all the moves they can make, which is one is obviously being on our own blockchain. Second is finding alternative methods of distribution as well, because they also own the distribution channels. But there are other ways to market. Let's say Opera mobile store, for example. We can still have apps that use Gath3r can still be hosted on there.
Now, one other thing is, on your white paper, you mentioned version 1 or volume 1 and then version 2 for 2019. Can you just give a quick breakdown of what that is? Because, the audience is going to be curious about that.
Definitely. So version 2 of our platform is that, okay, we're rolling out multiple cryptocurrencies. We actually are building a smart miner, meaning we're not just going to mine one cryptocurrency or two cryptocurrencies. We're going to have multiple cryptocurrencies that we can mine so that we can easily switch which to mine based on the profitability for the website. By version 2, that's one of the things where we want to have a large amount of cryptocurrencies that we are mining. And the other part is that it's on its proof of stake model already. We're already transitioned over to our own blockchain at that point. Other things would be which would have been live by that point would be the paywall program, the loyalty program, and a few other smaller things in between. Again, the fiat exchanges as well. So that could be you could talk about it as a very mature product at that point.
Is there anything else you want to say about Gath3r generally, your marketing strategy, any direct message you have for the people out there specifically about your ICO you want to deliver?
People are, if they are holding our tokens, they choose to invest with us, that they can, start staking it as well. As Farooq said, we definitely agree with him that a lot of ICOs, they're just not professional. They don't care about their investors. They promise, 1,000x returns, and at the end of it, nothing happens. We don't want to be those guys. That's why we're trying to set up the way we are and go the way we are. In terms of marketing strategy to the overall community, crypto, non-crypto, you're a website user, you're a website owner. We're trying to disrupt this space because it is age-old. It's not dying, but it needs disruption. It needs something new. People are not happy. And honestly, as an audience, if you can help spread the word about Gath3r to your websites, to your application owners that, hey, try this out, it may be worth it, that would be great.
So not to badmouth your competition, but specifically looking at, say, like CoinHive, how different are you and where are you different from them in terms of how your platform functions overall?
So one of the biggest differences between us or CoinHive is that we are opt-in only. We need explicit user consent for the miner to be used by users and websites. We do not allow anything, as it's known as silent mining, to exist. On top of that, it's not like you can just come and take the code and inject it on your website or put it on your website. No, you actually need to pass a whitelist. The whitelist is very simple. We just check against things like if you're on the SDN list, if you're coming from countries that may have sanctions or similar things. And if you're not, it's all good. If you are, there's some additional questions. This is just to be completely compliant. And again, coming back to that, we want to be in that ethical and transparent space. Because of the industry we are trying to disrupt, we have to do it the right way. So no silent mining, completely transparent. We want opt-in and making it clear to our users what's going on.
Excellent. So that wraps up the main segment of our interview. Now we're going to kick on to a quick rapid-fire session, just 60 seconds, and we'll see how many questions. Is it going to be you, Reg? Are you going to take this one?
If it's crypto-related, I'm going to hand it over to Faz.
Okay, he's going to hand the ball off. So it's going to be up to you, Farooq. So I'm going to start asking questions in just a moment. We're going to see how many you can pump out into 60 seconds. I think the world record to date is 9, but we've had some pretty verbose people. So let's see what kind of damage you can do.
Go for it.
Fantastic. Okay, here we go. So first off, and Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Bitcoin.
Hot or cold crypto wallet?
Cold.
Most influential person in crypto?
Probably Vitalik Buterin at this point.
Will EFTs be approved this year?
I believe they might be, considering what I've seen so far. I would say 65% sure I think they will be.
Okay. Well, the next one, don't be biased or nothing, but what's the most undervalued crypto platform on the market today?
Well, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Undervalued would be potentially. I can't decide. I have to pass on this one.
Okay.
It's too many. There's too many answers. There's too many.
HODL or trade?
Trade.
Cool.
Always.
What will Bitcoin's high be in the next 12 months?
12 months.
That wraps up our rapid fire session. You guys didn't break the world record, but we won't hold it against you. With Farouk, what are you working on in the next 12 months, and what do you think the next 12 months look like for Gath3r?
Post-raise, I think the most important thing would just be getting the name out there, as Reggie said, and basically public information is most important, because once it's live in a few websites, just word of mouth alone should be enough to get the ball rolling. It might avalanche itself without the need for spending huge amounts on marketing from our end, because this is such a I mean, it's not a very complicated concept if you get down to it. So I think it's just the initial part which might confuse or intimidate people, but the actual idea, once you get past the really basic stuff, is very straightforward, and it would be very easy to get it going. And I think there's the scope over the next 12 months could be huge, depending on how how well the first, I would say, 4 to 5 months go, and who we can get on board.
Together, what we will be working on as a team overall, it's about user adoption. It's about gaining more traction, just getting more websites on board, market education. This is the biggest thing that we need to focus on per se, because people don't know much about crypto. So letting them know that it is safe, it is good if used in the right way and right purposes. And then over and on top of that, it's about Gath3r. So in the next 12 months, it's completely about user adoption through market education as a thought leader in the space, positioning ourselves as a thought leader.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I think you have a fantastic platform. It is really straightforward, and it's transparent. And I think more than anything now, I'm looking at more and more platforms that appeal to a great many people and are not complex. And you guys both certainly tick both of those boxes. And you take away something which is annoying, which are the online ads. So that's all really good stuff. So it's been wonderful. I'll be in touch with you guys soon. If folks want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in contact with either of you, or just Gath3r generally? What's the best way to do that?
They can join our Telegram channel, or you can drop us a mail at hello@gath3r.io. Gath3r with a 3.
Gath3r, yeah. Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll have both of those contact details in the show notes below, so you can reach out to Reggie or Farouk or the team over at Gath3r. And yeah, they're very approachable, very lovely guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching Crypto Global News. Until next time, you take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again, Edward. This was great.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, hearing from two of the founders over at Gath3r. It seems to be the main thing they want to do is to become thought leaders in this space, which sounds like a really great thing to do. Let's see if they can accomplish it in the not-too-distant future. If you want to reach out to them directly, all their contact details are in the show notes below. And for any other information, you can jump on their website and have a look over at their white paper. There's a lot of interesting information in there. And please remember, we also did an ICO review, which is also on the channel, which covers more details about their platform. For Crypto Global News, I'm Edward. Until next time, take care.